Hello and welcome to this Red Gaming Tech video of myself and Marta. Just a quick note, Paul is fine, he's just recovering from the second dose of his vaccine. So let's get stuck right into our first topic, which is regarding RTX 30 Super and AMD Mobile. Now you may recall that a few weeks ago there were reports doing the rounds that Nvidia were preparing a super refresh for the RTX 30 series lineup. Now of course these rumours were just first for mobile, but they were swiftly followed by reports that would also be making their way to desktop as well. We don't know about the timings, as in, how far apart is it going to be mobile and desktop refresh are releasing at the same time? Are they going to be staggered? That we just don't know, unfortunately. According to our sources, we have been hearing there will be slight changes to the core configuration and memory, but the architecture is essentially the same for desktop. But again, we're not sure about this. This is just something we've heard through the grapevine, so as usual, please do take it with the usual pinch of salt TM. But with all that said, there is an interesting update from Greymon55. Not only Super Series, Nvidia and AMD will refresh their laptop GPU next year. Interesting stuff, as I'm sure you'll agree. So Greymon here is saying that we're going to be seeing the laptop version of RTX 30 Super early next year. Now again, because we don't know the timings of desktop in terms of the spacing, it could be releasing also early next year, or they could be wanting to give things like the 3070 Ti, 3080 Ti more room to breathe, especially considering that a lot of people just haven't been able to get their hands on those cards with the availability issues, although they are, as far as I know, still improving. Now obviously it's still inflated, but improvement is improvement, guys. But regardless of that, we'll obviously have to wait and see how true this is, but I think it would make sense for them to be at least early next year for laptop, and then maybe even a little bit later for the desktop, just for the reasons I already said. In terms of the AMD mobility refresh, again, this is the first I'm hearing of it, so I'm not really willing to comment too much on that. We will do some digging and see how much credibility this particular report has, but at the moment, this is the first I've been hearing of it. But speaking of AMD GPUs, we did actually do a laptop sponsored look for the Acer Nitro 5. Go give it a look, see if you haven't given it a watch already. It will be linked for you below. But speaking of AMD, we're going to move on to our next topic, which is some really interesting comments from Lisa Su regarding Zen 4 and RDNA 3. So obviously we've been talking a lot about both Zen 4 and RDNA 3 as of late, and well, can you blame us? By all the reports, it's going to be a very interesting time. I don't think they're going to be boring, let's just put it that way. But today we have some comments from Dr. Lisa Su, thanks to the Q2 2021 Investors Call, and she did confirm that Zen 4 and RDNA 3 GPUs are on track for launch in 2022. And her exact quote was, quote, "We remain on track to launch next generation products in 2022, including our Zen 4 processors built with industry-leading 5nm process technology and our RDNA 3 GPUs." However, they did also go on to say that supply constraints will continue throughout 2021 and things will really start to ease with the start of 2022. This is something that Lisa has said before, so this is just them reiterating that yes, things are improving, but the supply constraints are going to take a while. I mean, I know I've said this like 1,000,000,001 times at this point, but just to reiterate it the billionth and second time, although things are getting better, they've still got to catch up on months worth of demand where they just weren't able to keep up, at all. They're sort of like a queue waiting, I guess is the best way to put it. But yeah, I mean, it's really nice to know that obviously they're on track for 2022 launch. Again, Zen 4 is looking really interesting, and as is RDNA 3. We've been hearing, for example, for the Zen 4 architecture, we're going to be seeing a 25% IPC gain over Zen 3, and we may even see them hit that glorious 5 GHz clock speed, but obviously we'll have to see. And as with RDNA 3, you may recall that AMD made some very interesting comments in an interview with last year where they were hoping to basically deliver performance per watt improvements similar to the 50% plus improvements delivered by the RDNA 2 GPUs. But all the latest rumours and such regarding RDNA 3 definitely have me interested, very, very interested indeed, with the latest reports saying that we could be seeing a 3x performance uplift over Big Navi 21. But arguably the most interesting is the rumour from just a couple of days ago, which basically stated that we could be seeing Navi 31 chuck the compute units in the bin, which is crazy. So go check out that video if you haven't already seen it. But enough plugging, let's move on to the next topic, which is our final AMD segment for today, and it is regarding Alderbaran. Now, these comments also came from the Q2 earnings presentations, and they did also confirm that CDNA 2 is already shipping, better known as Instinct MI200 Alderbaran, which is their very first MCM GPU. This does actually mean that they've beat Intel HPC or HP Xe based accelerators and Nvidia's H1 accelerators, which is based on Hoppers. So TLDR, AMD has managed to beat both of them out of the gate in terms of shipping of their MCM GPU for CDNA 2. Now, unfortunately, we don't even know the actual configuration of Alderbaran just yet, but we do know that it's going to offer up to 128 gigs of HBM2E memory. But it's interesting that AMD are first past the post on this one. But let's move on from them, shall we, to their arch nemesis Intel, as we have perhaps some potentially disappointing news for Alder Lake. So this report comes to us thanks to Igor's lab, and according to his information, we are going to be seeing a bit of a staggered launch for the launch of Alder Lake S. Now, according to Igor's information, we're going to be seeing the K and KF series launch in the fourth quarter of this year, but we will not see the rest until some point next year. As for when we're going to be seeing Alder Lake actually launch, apparently it's going to happen between October 25th, one day before my birthday incidentally, and November 19th. Now, obviously, they are going to be launching some motherboards alongside these parts, again, the K and KF series, and we're going to be seeing the Z690 chipset, and we're going to be seeing the rest of the 12th gen core stack and motherboards, which of course will be the H670, B660, B610 at CES 2022. Now, if you've been keeping your ear to the ground for all things Intel, you'll know this is not the first time we've heard that we will be seeing a delayed launch for the non-K series of Alder Lake. This rumour was shared by Moore's Law is Dead a few months ago. Now, obviously, that doesn't necessarily mean this is 1000% true. I'm just saying this is not the first time we have been hearing this particular piece of information. Now, Intel do, of course, have their innovation event in October, and there's very real possibility that we will get more comments from them, more reports and rumours and such until then. But it is, I have to say, a little bit disappointing to hear that we are going to be seeing a staggered launch for Alder Lake, because Alder Lake is just interesting to me. Just a change in tactics, obviously going for the big dot little or big dot small, whatever you want to call it, hybrid architecture, changing pretty significantly from their usual style. So I'm excited to see how Alder Lake actually performs in the actual, real world versus Ryzen processors. But we're going to finish up with some quick console news and some PS5 news to round things off for you today. So this information comes straight from the mouth of Sony, no salt TM required for this one, and there's an official blog post from Veronica Rogers, the SVP of Global Sales and Business Operations, and she said, quote, "We are thrilled to announce that as of July 18th, 2021, we have sold more than 10 million PlayStation 5 consoles globally. This makes PS5 the fastest selling console in the history of SIE, and we couldn't be more excited about the amazing response of our fans." And while the actual blog is fairly long, I'm not going to sit here and read the whole thing, because I'm sure we'll all be resident sleeper in the comments, including myself. They did also comment on the success of the PlayStation 5 in China. And she said, quotes, "The one launch that I'll call out is China. The console gaming model is not well established there. It's all free to play and mobile, but we had a hunch that the time might be right to change that and roll a few dice. We made a lot of noise at launch, allocated a good amount of stock, and it blew through very, very quickly. Same sort of energy that we see in the West. It's early days yet, but we're encouraged by that." So it just goes to show you that despite all of the memes and genuine frustration surrounding the availability and stock issues of the PS5, and it is still pretty damn bad. I mean, the fact that it's still this bad months after launch just says it all. But despite that fact, they have still managed to set a very impressive record. But speaking of console sales, we also have something from Xbox to finish things off, as they are also crushing it over at Microsoft. And this was revealed by the Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella during the Q4 2021 earnings call. Now, they discussed a few things, of course, reiterated Microsoft's commitment to gaming, but also revealed that the Xbox Series S and X are the fastest selling consoles that they have ever built, which is kind of crazy. Now the full quote is rather long. I'm just going to focus on the sales segment here, where he just said, quote, "We continue to lead in the fast-growing cloud gaming market with just last month, we made Xbox Cloud Gaming available on PCs as well as Apple phones and tablets via the browser in 22 countries with more to come. Millions have already streamed games to their desktop, tablets and phones, and the Xbox Series S and X are our fastest selling consoles ever, with more consoles sold live to date than any previous generation." And on this particular topic, Daniel Ahmad had a very interesting tweet. Of course, you can find his tweet and everything else I've referenced in the description below. And he says that, quote, "We estimate that the Xbox X/S total sale was 6.5 million as of June the 30th, compared to our estimate of 5.7 million for Xbox One and 5.0 million for Xbox 360 in the same time frame. Supply for XS improved in the past quarter, with hardware revenue up 20% quarter over quarter." And he went on to say, of course, while the Xbox One shipped more than the 360 early on, the 360 outsold it over time. The Xbox X/S should do a better job maintaining its lead given the dual SKU strategy and content plus Game Pass focus this generation. So, pretty damn impressive from Microsoft. Outselling the Xbox One and the Xbox 360, which was a hugely popular console, is pretty damn impressive. And that's with, obviously, the issues sort of hamstringing things with availability. Although, as Daniel himself did say, it is improving. Obviously, it was pretty bad there for a while. So, hats off to everyone all round there. Anyway, that's me done for this video. Thank you so much for watching. As always, do remember to like and subscribe, just help out a great deal, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.